Today's video is about a simple two-step drawing exercise which changed everything for me. In a few minutes, it helps build a mindful presence, sharpens your eye, and most importantly, frees you from perfectionism, which is something which ails so many of us. The first step activates your visual brain. It teaches you to really look, but without the pressure of actually getting it right on the page. The second step strengthens your visual recall and in turn your own artistic voice and artistic license. Together, it's a full artistic workout which gets you into that flow state. Now, for those of you thinking, hurry up and just start drawing, fair enough, I hear you. Use the timestamp below and you can jump to the drawing exercise. But I also think it's really useful to understand why something works. For me, if I understand the why, then I get so much more out of something. So with that in mind, let's talk neuroscience. Now, I haven't always been a carefree, loose sketching ink and watercolourist. I started off doing lots of pastels, trying to do the big, perfect watercolours, and I found the whole thing very stressful. I would really enjoy doing quick sketches, but then I would say to my wife, and this is a really vivid memory of mine, going for a walk with Tash and Betty, our dog, I would just say, why can't I finish anything? Why don't I enjoy it? What's going on? Where's my style in all of this? And what's happening for all of these things, all these other processes I wasn't enjoying, is I was in my prefrontal cortex. I was in the bit of our brain which judges and makes decisions. But real creativity happens when you are enjoying it, when you are in the flow state. Now, a flow state is something you will have experienced. It doesn't happen when something's too easy. That's boring. And we aren't in a flow state, we're not engaged in that task, we're just doing it. It doesn't happen when it's too new and too tricky, because we end up doing what I did, judging, worrying, just trying to work it out. But when something is hard enough, we hit that lovely peak, that moment where time flies by, but you're really engaged. And that is a flow state. You might find it running, painting, cooking, all sorts of everyday tasks. And it's in this flow state that we are at our most productive and our most creative. Now, that leads us to considering how today's two-step exercise helps us achieve this. Well, in the first step, what we do is we stare at our scene or our reference, and we don't look at our page. Now, what this forces us to do is draw from the right side of the brain, as sort of illustrated and explained by Betty Edwards in the famous book called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. Here, she explains that the left side of the brain is analytical. It categorises everything. Again, it makes assumptions. We see a person, we then draw the person that we think we've seen, rather than what we've really seen. Because the right side of the brain is really the one which has strong spatial recognition, pattern recognition, and visual interpretation. If we can activate the right side of our brain, therefore, what we're going to do is actually draw what we see, and we're going to not get so stuck into our own head. So, if what we do is we just stare at our scene, we don't look at our paper, we give ourselves a short time limit, 2 or 3 minutes, then what will happen is you'll produce something which you can't judge, and you just have to focus on your scene. Next, we turn the page over and we recreate the scene without looking at the reference or without looking at the scene in front of us, just from memory. Now, this activates other aspects of our creativity. It makes us visually remember the scene. It makes us pick out the bits which were important to us because they're the bits we'll remember best. But it also teaches us that leaving something a bit unfinished, those gaps in our memory, is okay. And you'll see that those unfinished bits are actually quite fascinating. Together, we get a full spectrum workout for our brain, going from observation to memory to action to interpretation. And best of all, it totally disconnects our ability to judge. We cannot judge a scene that we can't see, and we cannot judge a drawing that we can't see. So we just have to enjoy the process. Now, like that, it's time to get stuck in. A key for the first half of this drawing exercise is to give yourself a short time limit. No point getting too stuck into it. 2 or 3 minutes for a starter. The second part, a little bit longer, 5 to 10 minutes, but keep it short enough that you feel it's unfinished. Now the reference I'm going to use, and you can find this link below, is this, which is an interesting scene from Morocco full of nice big overlapping shapes. It's going to be challenging, but remember, it needs to be not too challenging, because if it's too challenging, it would just be anxiety inducing, but if it's challenging enough, you'll get into that flow state. Now I had an idea. I thought, so I can prove that I'm not looking at my page, I would put on a blindfold. And then I worked out the problem. I can't see my page with a blindfold on, but I also can't see the reference. So I'm going to put the reference just under the camera, and you're going to be my accountability partner, checking that I'm looking ahead and not cheating, not looking down. And like that, it's as simple as picking up your pen. I am going to look down to check that it's working, because that would just be silly. And then going for it. So, find your starting point on your page, and then just wander around and find the contour, the simple shapes. Now the key here is to really look at the shapes as you draw them. Really look and try and remember where you are on the page. Don't cheat. There's no point in cheating. If we cheat, all we're doing is losing the effect of the exercise, because why judge something which we know is going to be a bit silly, a bit fun, and might end up being magic if we just sort of let it go. I'm working my way across the silhouette of the image. I can kind of feel I'm about to fall off the edge of the page. So I'm going to come down now and find some of these verticals that I can see. And all the time, just put a smile on your face. You know, whatever happens will happen. And it's interesting, if nothing else, to just let it happen. The next one, remember, you can judge it. You'll be able to see the scene on your page, but not the photo. So this is your opportunity not to produce an amazing work of art, but to look at all these amazing textures of all the woodwork. Look at all those lovely windows. Find all the bits of interest and then see what happens. And actually, I am amazed. Now, you're not going to believe me, and why would you? I'm on YouTube, but that was a first effort at this. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, before I flip over, check the links below and you can find my free course, which has loads of little ideas like this to play with, and also gives you a voucher for my paid courses, which have loads of little and big ideas to help you develop your sketching skills. Anyway, enough self-promotion, I know, I hear you. I had there a couple of minutes to find my scene, a couple of minutes to look really hard at the reference. Now it's time to take that reference. I was going to symbolically rip it up, but I'm not going to waste it. It's a really nice reference. I'm going to turn the page over and pop that scene upside down. And instantly I feel a little sense of panic because I've forgotten the scene. But I can remember the principles, and I can remember it because I was talking about it. So I'm going to start with the idea of that tower, a nice simple rectangular shape. And I'm going to find, I remember it just had a tiny bit of shadow on the right. Just the tiniest bit of shadow coming down here. So I'll do that with some extra lines, some extra sort of hatching. You'll notice I've automatically fallen into doing a continuous line. Yeah, that's because I like that. And it does help, especially with the blind contour. But you don't have to. You don't have to like that. Next, I remember there's like stacked up shapes. There was an extra building here and here. Helpfully, they were all facing us, so I can kind of just get the idea of them facing us, and all these little windows coming along. Over here, I can't really remember what was going on. So I've got two options. One, leave it blank, or two, invent something. I'm going to do a little bit of invention because to get the composition right, it feels like it just needs something over here. There's some little random marks. Then down here, I remember talking about these amazing textures. That was the kind of the woodwork, or I don't really know what it was. It looked like almost like scaffolding, but I don't think it was. Again, who knows? But it had a lot of stuff going on down here, and that helps build up the foreground a little bit. And over here, I seem to remember it was a bit lower. And that kind of fits this nice composition coming down the page as well. So let's go with that, make it a bit lower. I feel like there was something up here, maybe even like a little tree coming in the side. I don't think I drew that last time. Now in this scene, I can pick my pen up and have a look at how it's going. And because what I was thinking about was my memory, I haven't been judging what's happening on the page. But now's my opportunity to look and go, right, how could I make this more interesting? This is from memory. I've exhausted my memory now. So this is the invention, the artistic license. For me, a couple of extra bold lines to bring out bits. Now here we can go, right, what's working? Which bits are working? And I like this tower. I think it's important. I've just made it a clock tower with a little circle on it. Yeah, why not? A little bit of texture in there. I like these windows, but maybe we could make them bolder, darker, something like that. And I wasn't sure about these shapes, but let's just try something out. It's really important when you're just doing something to get yourself into a state, into enjoyment, to push your kind of your brain. It's really important to have fun with it and allow yourself some experiments. Because if you don't allow yourself experiments now, when it just doesn't matter, well, you'll never allow yourself experiments, and you'll always be stressed when you bring out the sort of important piece. This, I quite like what's going on with this line. It's something and nothing, but if I just fill up that space a little bit more, it's feeling better again. Now, the sky, could we do something? Maybe we'll just do a couple of little clouds. So I actually took this photo on a holiday in Morocco. And the weather was awful. So this is kind of, if I was doing a little visual journal, then adding in some clouds would be a very positive version of the memory, because actually what I remember being is not prepared for how wet and cold it was, and actually at times not being very happy. At other times being very, very happy. But I do remember it being a difficult experience at times. Just checking my time limit, that's about my 5 minutes. So let's just stop, cap on the pen, and let's see what happened. So, I forgot the triangle. So that, I knew there was something higher here, and that's what it is. That triangle, goes to show, would have made it a lot more interesting. Otherwise, yeah, I forgot there was angles here. My head had simplified it, but I quite like the simplified version. Right? Then let's really review this first one. I'll tell you what, there's something in this to really love. If you enjoyed this video, please do let me know down below. I would love to hear whether this really freed you up as much as it freed me up. There's also a longer version of this video with a couple more exercises in where I draw this and, even more excitingly, a Yeti. And that's all in the members only section. So if you want to join for less than a cup of coffee a month, you can get a slightly longer version of this video with a few more ideas.